You guys are gonna just have this big old reflection here. We're just gonna have to deal with that together, okay? Hello and welcome to a continuation of the shelf tour of my barrister bookcase. So if you did not know, once a year at least, I do try to dust off and clean all of my books and my barrister bookcases, well, actually all of my bookcases, in order to help keep the books in as best condition as possible. Also, since a lot of you didn't realize this, I will reiterate this for every time I do a barrister video. You should open up all of your barrister shelves at least for an hour, once every 6 months. What this does is it helps let the gas out, because it doesn't matter how temperature or humidity controlled you have your household or whatever room your cases are in, there's still going to be some degeneration and some degradation of the books, because, you know, especially if you are a vintage book collector, books didn't used to be printed on acid-free paper, and there were heavy metals in the ink. So there's still going to be some oxidation. There's still going to be some chemical reactions happening that is going to cause deterioration, even though very slow. If you have a very nice controlled home, it's still going to happen. So the best way to continue having really nice books is to, one, dust them off and clean them. Even if they're in a barrister case, there's still going to be dust because these aren't hermetically sealed. And also this allows for any gas that's built up over the last 6 months to a year. Again, I do recommend doing this every 6 months, but once a year is fine, to let them air out some. And what that'll do is help decrease the humidity inside as well. So it'll help, if there is foxing, keep it from getting any worse. And it's good for your books to breathe. Let them breathe. It's nice to keep them in a barrister bookcase. It does help them out a lot, but you do need to let them breathe. So we're gonna go through and I'm gonna show you all my Lackey, because this whole bottom shelf is Lackey hardcovers. And we're gonna start off with one of the books that's tattooed on my arm. So this is By the Sword by Mercedes Lackey. And the reason why Need is the sword right here. This is one of the few standalone novels by Mercedes Lackey. She is most well known for her very long series and her trilogies. She does have a few standalone novels. This is one of them. And this is actually my introduction to Mercedes Lackey. And this is the first strong female protagonist in fantasy I ever encountered, which is why that tattoo is on my arm, is because I had a tumultuous childhood, and having the protagonist in this book is a teenager, even though this is considered an adult novel, because it's her overall life. So she goes from teenager to young adult to an adult. This, I will at one point reread this again. I used to read this once a year, like if I was feeling low. This and the Christopher Stashif book, Her Majesty's Wizard, were the two books that I would reread very often when I needed a pick-me-up. But that is why this is tattooed on my body, is because this was my first encounter with a strong female protagonist in a fantasy book, because a lot of the fantasy books that I had been finding up until this point mostly were led by men. And the only women in the stories, in the fantasy stories I was reading, were just there to forward the story of the male protagonist, if that makes sense. So this was a very important book in my life. It is still a very important book in my life, which is why it is tattooed on me. But I will do a review at some point on this channel. I will do a tattoo review of all the books on me and all the books that will be on me, because at some point I will finish this sleeve. Fingers crossed. The next set is going to be the series with Andrea Norton. So Mercedes Lackey used to be a fanfic artist, if you did not know. That is how she got her start. She unfortunately is considered a protege of Marion Zimmer Bradley. If you know, you know why that is an unfortunate thing. But another one of the women in fantasy that she had strong ties to was Andrea Norton. And this was supposed to be a quartet. Unfortunately, Andrea Norton passed away before that could be made into fruition. However, the notes were given to Mercedes Lackey. However, I don't feel like this is ever going to be finished. My introduction to Andrea Norton actually is this book, which is The Elven Bane, which is one of the books that I reviewed on this channel. I should probably show you the actual cover. I do have this book review up available. Very teenage angsty, but I did find this in the wild and decided to read it. And then I decided to start collecting Andrea Norton, which is up here, and start reading more from her, just because I wanted, like, I was very familiar with Mercedes Lackey works, obviously, and I wanted to kind of figure out Andrea Norton's voice in the story. I will eventually read the rest of this. I have not read any of the rest of this for the Half-Blood Chronicles. I do have Elven Blood and Elven Born, so the other two works in here. I just haven't gotten around to reading them. Not gotten around to, had time to read them is probably more correct, but here's the other one. But I do have all of them that's available in the trilogy, so there's that. Now, the Elemental Masters series is probably the thickest of boys that she has, and I do not have that many from the Elemental Masters series. I only have 4 hardcovers in the Elemental Masters series. These are, again, where all my hardcovers are. The paperbacks I have from Mercedes Lackey are up top in here. I do try to keep all my Lackey together. But I do have Serpent's Shadow. I have not read any of the Elemental Masters. Lackey is one of the authors that when I find them, I have a tendency to hoard them. But I do believe this is the first book in the Elemental Masters series, The Serpent's Shadow. And then this is Blood Red, which I believe is the 3rd book in the Elemental Masters series. I don't even know if I have the 2nd book, to be honest. The Mercedes Lackey is in the back behind all the stash sheaf here. You can't even see this right now, but this is all stash sheaf up until about like this point. That's all stash sheaf paperbacks, because finding his stuff hardcover in the wild is like almost impossible. Okay, so this is Blood Red. So this is the 9th book in the Elemental Masters series, and I'm sure some of you that are also massive Lackey fans were probably just yelling at your screen there at that point. But Blood Red, I have Blood Red. So book 9. I have book 1 in hardcover, book 9 in hardcover. Then I have The Case for the Spellbound Child. Probably show it to you like that. This is the 14th book in the Elemental Master series. Like I said, this is the thickest of boys for her. I think the only other series that comes anywhere close is the Valdemar anthologies, which I actually don't think I have any of those. I don't think I have any of those, to be honest, which is disappointing. That's 14. And then I have Phoenix and Ashes. So this is the 3rd book. This is the 3rd book. I got confused. No one's surprised that I got confused. All right, so I just have these in the wrong order then on the shelf. Perfect. All right, so I have 4 of 14 in hardcover of the Elemental Masters series. Ooh. All right, I do have the entire Storm trilogy in hardcover. I found these at different points, obviously, because 2 of them are in the short form and 1 is in the big form, which is always frustrating for those of us. Ooh, this definitely needed to happen. My goodness. This one I ended up getting from that big book bundler buy. You can see there's foxing on the bottom here. But it was quite the boon because it was the last one I needed to finish this trilogy, which was great. And here's the Storm Rising. I realized I don't think I showed you the first one. I just showed you the foxing. Here we go. But this is set in the Valdemar world, as you can tell, because it has the beautiful white horses on the front. I know I talk about the Valdemar world all the time because as a girl that loved horses, I think most feminine people have a tendency to have a horse phase, and I did. Even though we didn't have horses, I did get to take horse riding lessons when I was little, thanks to my parents. But having a psychic link with a beautiful war horse sounds amazing to me. But yeah, I haven't read any of these, but I have them, which is so sad to me. This is recent. So I've had Owl Flight for a long time, which is the first book in this series. I found Owl Sight. Okay, so this is Owl Sight. So this is the second book in the Owl series. You can see this is a little bit more tattery because this was from that big book bundler warehouse buy that I did. I was like, oh my goodness, I finally have the second book. This is amazing. I just need the third book. So this is a trilogy she wrote with Larry Dixon. Larry Dixon is her husband, if you did not know. She divorced Mr. Lackey and then married Larry Dixon and has collaborated with him on several books, several series. Larry Dixon also is an artist too, and I think does a lot of art for her books. But I am missing the third book in hardcover. I'm missing the third book in general. I have had the full trilogy in paperback multiple times. I've bought and sold them multiple times. I just am holding out for that last hardcover. This is probably one of the newest Mercedes Lackeys I have found. This is Beyond. And this one, I found at the bins, so I only paid 50 cents for this. Got the remainder mark down there at the bottom. And I think this is probably, like I said, one of the newest ones of hers that I have. It's from 2021. And this is the book I always pull out to like try to make when I get a new Lackey in to figure out where it is and where I need to put it on the shelves. Because again, this is the newest one, so it has all of the books in here. That's so nice that publishers do that. Because it's actually so much easier to look at a list on a piece of paper. Maybe I'm just old school, than like trying to find the right website that has everything in order. That doesn't also have like a bajillion pop-ups trying to get you to like buy the book somewhere. Maybe that's a me problem. I only have 2 of this quintet. The Collegium Chronicles. So this is the first one. I do have the first one. Also set in the Valdemar world. This is Foundation. I've also not read any of these. Again, Lackey is one of those that she has earned my unwavering devotion to as a reader. This is the second book in the Collegium Chronicles. I am just missing the other 3 books in the Collegium Chronicles. This is the only hardcover I have of this one. Oops, I hate when I forget to take the stickers off. That annoys me. And if you're wondering why in the world I would hate taking the stickers off, is because stickers normally have acid in their adhesive. You can see there's some discoloration there on the barcode where the sticker was. So I'm actually going to have to go and take some rubbing alcohol to that to clean that up. And if you're worried about that, don't be. I actually went ahead and grabbed the rubbing alcohol. I do recommend using the highest possible percentage you can, just because that's less water and means it will evaporate faster, so you have less of a chance to damage your book. Most modern books, like I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing this on like a 1960s paperback because chances are the color will come off as well. But most modern dust jackets do have a lamination process that they go through. Like they have the regular paper and then the paper gets laminated. So it's like plasticky. That's why they have plastic feel. So it won't necessarily damage the book doing that. Ooh, that is crunchy. There was something crunchy underneath there. That's much better. There we go. So that's better. This is Fortune's Full. I can't say that, even with the alliteration. Maybe the alliteration is what's messing me up. But this is another series of hers. This is the Tale of the 500 Kingdoms series. This is the only one of these that I have, so that's why it's next to the Beyond. Then we have the Winds trilogy, the Mage Winds trilogy. Did I even dust this off, or did I just like talk about removing stickers? Okay, now let's dust it off. All right. So I have the Winds of Fury and the Winds of Fate. This is the trilogy I'm missing the second book from. This is also one of the ones I found at the book bundler buy. I was like, I'm definitely keeping this because I never find these in hardcover. I find this set in paperback pretty frequently. Oddly enough, I also have a hard time finding the second book in paperback for this series. But another Valdemar, as you can see from the beautiful white horses. Even though they look purple, they're supposed to be white. But I'm missing the first book in this series. The first one is Winds of Fate. Third book is Winds of Fury, and then Winds of Change is or Winds of Changes. I don't know the exact title. I think it's Winds of Change. Yep, Winds of Change. I said it right the first time. It's the second book, but I'm missing that one in hardcover, but that's okay. This is another one of her standalone novels. This is Burning Brightly, another Valdemar novel. I love this book. I have read this one. This is another one where I read. This is a young teenage boy who has a fire magic gift, which is why it's burning brightly, and end up attached to a Valdemar horse. I read this young, so I don't remember a whole lot, and I've only read this one time. I found this book at a thrift store a really long time ago, like such a long time ago. But look, it's in like perfect condition because it's just been on my shelf since I found it when it got donated to that thrift store. And I just remember loving the story. I felt it was like the perfect, it's a standalone story, just like By the Sword, which is Carowin's Ride, is a standalone story. Both is set in the Valdemar world. Both are just single stories. This is the only other one that I know of. I'm sure there are other ones. I don't know her full catalog. Obviously, I would have to keep looking at the Beyond book to figure out where things go. But also very much recommend that one. Again, both of them have teenage protagonists. This one does stay a teenager throughout the entirety of the story, but it is considered an adult book because there are all adult themes to it. And then I have the Obsidian series back here. Hello, Editing Bob here, interrupting this video with some unfortunate news. I accidentally deleted a whole 5-minute clip of this shelf tour, so this is me trying to fix it. Unfortunately, that 5-minute clip, once it's deleted, it's gone forever. I'm never going to be able to get that back. But what I can do is show you the books that I deleted a whole section from. I mean, I've already cleaned them, I've already put them back on the shelf, but I feel like you still need to see them. So let's go look at them real quick. So these 6 books are the 6 books that I didn't get to show you because I accidentally deleted the clip. These are all based in the Obsidian world for Mercedes Lackey, and you can see one of these things is not like the other. One of these things is just not the same. And I know my fellow readers out there also have this pet peeve. This is one trilogy and this is another trilogy. Again, all of these are set in the same world, and yet for some odd reason, they decided in this last book to change the covers. I don't know why Tor did that. I hate that. These 3 books I did read while I was down with a severe injury. I had a severe roller derby injury. Heron Bob, which is the name I go by on the internet, is my roller derby name, and I've just kept it as my internet name. And I had a severe roller derby accident where I tore like 3 ligaments in my knee, tore my meniscus in half, tore chunks of cartilage out of my knee, and fractured my tibial head. So I was in a wheelchair for a while and not able to walk. And then I went on a cruise, and that is where I read these 3. I have not read these 3 yet, but I have dusted all these off. They're beautiful. This is actually the whole shelf. I feel like you guys would like to just see the whole shelf now, which I didn't do in the video. So this is how I reorganized everything. I think it looks rather nice, but this is my Lackey. These are all my hardcover Lackeys. Again, I have some holes in here missing, but that's okay. I'm sure I will find them in the wild at some point. But anyway, hope this interruption wasn't too terrible. Sorry, guys. I will try not to do that for the next shelf tour, but I'm gonna give you back now. Bonus puppy footage. Say hi, Eileen. Yeah, you sleeping on the bed? You comfy? It's a good girl. Yes, my good girl. I love you so much. Give me appeasement licks. Okay. Oh, this is the cat that I talked about in my last video. I told you she would go in there if she could fit. And I was right. That was a perfect proof right there. That is Switch, by the way, the boy's cat. Told you she would go in there if she could fit. So I read that trilogy while I was on the cruise because I couldn't really do a whole lot of anything else unless I was in the water, and then I could only do stuff in the water for a little bit because it took all the weight off of my knee. So I'm going to take the microfiber and also try to dust inside. Again, I'm not using any product for this. I'm just doing a nice microfiber cloth to dust. And for those of you that are curious, this is an antique barrister bookcase. It is a modular barrister bookcase made by Macy. Each one of these has a specific number for the size of the barrister case, as well as a finish number as well. So all three of these, because it's literally a section that you can stack on top of each other to make them as big or as small as you want, or to make whatever size you want. This one I think is from the 30s, like either late 20s, early 30s, but this is finish number 53. So if I would want to make this bigger, I would have to find finish number 53 at least in order to make it the right color as the rest of them. But this is a 713. I'll go over the other two. This is the biggest one out of all of them because it's the base module. But all three of these have a different number just because it's 713 because this has the base on it as well. So this will be a different number and then this one is a different number. But if I ever wanted to make this like a 5-piece, I would just have to find another Macy with finish 53 and have it be a different number, if that makes sense. Cool. This is not all of my Lackey. This is just what is on this shelf, but it is now all clean. The barrister case is now dusted. All the books are now dusted, and now I can put this back where it goes, even the book that doesn't match any of the other ones. As I said, this isn't all of my Lackey. I do have some more hardcover Lackeys in here, and then I have all the paperbacks up here. But I will show you guys in another video. I'm gonna just put everything back. I do appreciate the kind comments you guys left for me on my last video, especially since I had no idea how that was gonna go. I had never done one of these before. Y'all said I did a good job, so thank you. I will appreciate all the kindness you are willing to bestow upon me. Here, let me do this way. I'm gonna put the Burning Brightly here. And then the Winds. And then this one. Ow. And then this one. So if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to keep all the incomplete stuff together and then all the complete stuff together, if that makes sense to anybody but me. The By the Sword goes on top because it doesn't fit. Whenever Blood Music gets sold, because the Blood Music is up for sale, that one will come out and By the Sword will go in. But it can just stay on top here with the rest of the Lackey so it doesn't get separated. And it's not going to hurt anything because it's only one book. Right there. And then because this is a partial, this will go right here. Now that I have put it in order. So there we go. But here's everything back on the shelf. So full trilogy that's available, full trilogy, partial, standalone, full trilogies, and the book that started it all. So that's gonna go up here. Actually, I'm gonna put it over here by those because that's all the same size and that works for me. Normally I like to put it in the center, but since I've reorganized this, it makes more sense to put it over there. But that's the bottom shelf. So now you guys have seen what's on top of the shelf and you guys have seen the bottom shelf, and I will do this one next. So hopefully you guys will still want to watch me do this and talk about myself and books. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Until then, bye. Bye.